Welcome to this Friday edition of the Q&A here on OTRSCentral. Thanks to all of you that submitted your questions. You want your questions answered for future Q&A episodes that come every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on this channel. The information on how to do so, of course, will be in the description box down below, as is my most recent article for ProFootballSpot.com. Football fans, make sure you go check that out. Let me know what you think. Check out my other YouTube channel, Schleg Daddy TV, for my thoughts on things not pertaining to professional wrestling. Give this show a follow on Twitter, and of course, go like the show's new Facebook page. Let's get started with the questions here. At New Flavor 408 asks, why is Cameron on my TV every damn week when she's obviously the weakest diva on the roster? I'm still trying to figure out how somebody who said her favorite Divas match, I believe, of all time was Melina and Alicia Fox, the first person eliminated from Tough Enough, is still on the roster, and I believe, in fact, is the only person from that Tough Enough show that actually made it to the main WWE roster. That's the bigger question right there. Why is she on the TV every damn week? It's because of Total Divas. She's on that show. They're going to make sure they feature her on Raw and SmackDown and what have you. That's why. At John O5411, if Brock Lesnar wins the title at SummerSlam, how long will he hold it, and who do you think he would drop it to? See, this is the whole problem to me with having Lesnar be the guy to win the belt, let's say at SummerSlam, is unless you're going to give him a long reign where he's not going to be on TV very much, I would envision the title reign being very short. As a result, what purpose would that really serve at this point? Because it's not like he would necessarily be in a position to put over somebody younger or newer, so to speak, unless you're saying maybe Cesaro. Now, if he were to drop it to somebody, at this point, I would think it would be somebody like a Cesaro. I might sit there and advocate for waiting a little bit longer to give the belt to Brock Lesnar, maybe closer to Royal Rumble or hell, even Elimination Chamber, and have him be the one to drop the belt to like a Roman Reigns, let's say at WrestleMania 31, if he didn't go down the John Cena route. But if he held it, I can't imagine he held it too long. And if I had to guess, the person he might drop it to might be Cesaro. At Bauer24 Power, with TNA doing Bound for Glory in Japan, do you think WWE will follow suit and do an international pay-per-view soon? For WWE's purposes, they consider Canadian pay-per-views as international pay-per-views. While they technically are, they really aren't that much of a departure from the North American continent. I don't see them following suit anytime soon, even though I think they should. At Jamie Ennis NZ, should recently released WWE wrestlers go to GFW instead of TNA, considering, of course, TNA's poor financial status? No. Because we can say what we want about TNA, but TNA still has national cable primetime television. GFW does not have that at this point in time. I would rather go to TNA at this particular moment if I were in their shoes. At Jared Simmons, why does the WWE allow heels to sell merchandise? Doesn't it kind of defeat the purpose of trying to be hated? Valid point, but at the end of the day, I mean, it'd be very hard to convince anybody to ever want to be a bad guy if you didn't try and sell their merchandise. And the reality of the situation is that even the villains get liked by certain people, and certain people are still going to buy the merchandise of villains. So I don't think that's a big departure from TV shows or movies. People like those villain characters. People buy their merchandise. So I don't see where WWE is being a whole lot different. At We Are Pro Wrestling, on a scale of 1 to 10, how big of a disaster would it be if during the road to Bound for Glory, Spike TV doesn't renew TNA's television deal? Probably about 150. Because if they don't renew their television deal with Spike, I'm not sure if anybody else of any note would actually pick them up. And if TNA doesn't have a primetime television deal, they might not have a company anymore. And that's the real deal truth. At Real25 Kid, what are your thoughts on Chicara Pro Wrestling? I really don't have any because I don't watch it. I'm just being as honest with you as I possibly can. And if Smokey was here, would he approve of TNA's Black Evolution? You're goddamn right he would. He'd say something like, it's about damn time somebody in this motherfucker recognized that the black athlete is superior in every way. Yeah. Battletoad, Destroyer, Bobby Lashley. Fuck the world. It would be something close to what he probably would have thought. Of course, if Smokey would have hopped on board, that title change probably would have happened long before it actually did. At Dante King 12, who would you consider the greatest of all time, Michael Jordan or Bill Russell? Some of the older school guys will go strictly off of rings and say Bill Russell, winning 11 of them in 13 seasons. That makes him the greatest player of all time. In terms of dominance of the game, dominance at his position, the fact that he wasn't a center and he dominated the game way that he did, and that he won 6 championships during his time, I will go with Michael Jordan being the greatest of all time. At GK 196, if Undertaker faced Benoit at WrestleMania 23 and 1, do you think WWE will act as if it never happened, keeping him 14 and 0? Either that or they have the very awkward thing of this. Once had the streak, it's broken. Who broke it? It doesn't matter. Here's the Undertaker. That would be very awkward indeed. At Zero Cool 1389, who is the greatest to never win a Royal Rumble? Ultimate Warrior, Chris Jericho, or Kane in 2001? I would throw Mr. Perfect into that category. I would throw the Macho Man Randy Savage into that category. But out of those three, I think the person that should have won the Rumble at some point in time above the other two was Ultimate Warrior in 1990. I thought it was kind of ludicrous that Hogan won the Rumble that year and then Warrior won the title. Why not have Warrior win the Rumble and then go on to win the title? At Graham Burley, if Sting wrestles at Mania, who other than Taker, would make a good opponent? I was thinking maybe The Rock or Triple H, also maybe Cena. Now, I say no to any of those three possibilities that you just named. The logical one to me that makes the most sense would be a Bray Wyatt. To a much lesser degree, I would perhaps say Kane. Those would be two other guys other than Taker that I could think of a scenario where a Sting match at WrestleMania would work. At Kenny Kim, let's try that again. Why isn't Reigns involved with the Shield story? Great question. It's like they just broke up the Shield and they said, fuck it. Roman Reigns isn't mad at Seth Rollins at all. He's just off doing his own thing and like it never happened. It's a great question. I suggest maybe that they didn't fully plan this out, which we probably already knew. And at the Densidron ends this Q&A in the highest style. When all is said and done, who do you think would have the better career, Tim Duncan or Kobe Bryant? I'll go with Kobe because I think he was a greater overall player. They both have won the same number of championship rings. Both are all-time great players, arguably among the very best at their position of all time. Kobe may very well be the second greatest two-guard of all time. Tim Duncan may very well be the greatest, most accomplished power forward of all time. But I probably, at the end of the day, would take Kobe Bryant's career, in part because it's a money thing, and Kobe Bryant made himself more money over the years via the endorsements. The Colorado hotel room stuff I would probably not prefer. In that case, maybe Tim Duncan's had the better career. I'm just saying. So thanks all again, all of you that sent your questions for this Q&A. Easy for me to say. Remember, again, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you get Q&As here on OTRS Central. Information on how to tweet your questions to the show for future Q&As is in the description box down below. Make sure you stay tuned to this channel all weekend long for more great wrestling content here on OTRS Central.